Hey shooters, we're back with this video for the ATI bolt handle on our Thru Shot Technologies see-through Mosin Nagant scope mount. If you want to keep your ATI bolt handle that you've already installed on your bolt, what you have to do to use our see-through scope mount is grind the top of your ATI bolt handle flush with this surface of the bolt. If you don't, it will hit inside the back side of our scope mount inside of there. When you grind it flush, everything looks fine. When you grind it flush, you're going to run into that hole, that pocket that's on the back side of this, where the stub is from the original bolt handle. What I did is I just filled it in with JB Weld. I know this is I got in a hurry. I didn't try to take my time and make a really nice job. I just wanted to show you what to do. You will grind into that pocket though when you grind this far to get it this flush. It's still solid, and I think that JB Weld actually makes it a little more solid because I'm sure a lot of it got down in that pocket. But you have to have it flush with this surface. That's all this little short video is for, and it will work fine. This is the bolt handle we used on the first 300 or so rounds of testing. It holds up fine. That was before we got this Max Shepherd bolt modification, which clears even better. Obviously, you can see that there's a big difference in the bolt handles. This is Max Shepherd, the low profile. That's the one we ordered for both these test rifles. That's all this video is for. You can keep that ATI bolt handle. You just have to grind it down and fill it in, and it may not look as nice as it did, but it will function fine. And if you take your time, it's going to look better than this job. Sorry I got in a hurry and it doesn't look that great, but that's what you do to keep your ATI bolt handle with this scope mount. Thanks for watching. Okay, we're back here. I'm going to show you what I'm doing to pick up zero, the center line of the receiver. I'm using a decent test indicator. Hope you can see this. I have the camera mounted this time. At first I picked up the back side of the jaw with an edge finder, and then I'm going to come over here with a test indicator, and I'm not going to be able to show you the back side, but I have this zeroed. You bring it down in Z past the high point of that radius on the receiver, get your zero, and then move your spindle left and right. Get your zero that way. And when you get these readings zero on the front and back, you know that you are in the center of the receiver. The only reason I'm doing this is to show you that this is as close as you're going to get to finding the center of this crudely machined receiver, so I can compare the center drill marks I'm going to make using this setup to the new scope mount base that we're making with its own centering system built in. We'll just say it that way for now. So you guys that have a mill or worked in a machine shop or anything, you know what I'm doing here. This is going to read the back side. If you use a mirror, you're going to be able to see you have zero on the back, zero on the front. You know you're right on center. Alright, what we did here is we just spot drilled using a number 2 center drill. Just a tiny spot on center at the 2 hole locations where the top of this scope mount is going to mount, and they are the same locations as the ATI scope mount. This is just to show that when we put the scope mount on with our way of lining it up, those 2 little shiny spots you see should be right dead center in the center of the 2 mounting holes. Hopefully so you don't have to have a milling machine to do this. Alright, we're back with the rifle in just a standard rifle stand. You can see the 2 spot faces we made on the milling machine, which we know are right on center. And then we're going to show you how the whole scope mount assembly is easy for the guy without a machine shop or gunsmith or a guy with a machine shop, to align to the center of the bore. We have the painted rail and base together. The front of each are flush with each other. We're going to provide you with this little tool. It's just a 3/8 dowel rod with a centered point on it. That comes with the kit. Remember, the radius on the bottom of this mount is the same radius as the diameter on the receiver. So when you put the whole mount on the receiver, you know you're going to be centered this way, because everything on this base is machined in line with that radius on the bottom. So you know you're straight this way. Now you got to get yourself centered this way to the bore. That's what this little tool is going to do. This little tool goes in the see-through channel, and I'm working with one hand again, so excuse me. It goes in the see-through channel, and it's not a real tight fit. It's tight enough, but it's not a super tight fit. You really don't want it to be. Make sure the whole base is right at this point where the receiver and the barrel meet. There's a lip there, there's a step, whatever you want to call it. Pull the tool out to the notch in the rear sight. Now we're assuming any rifle manufacturer is going to make sure that that rear sight is centered to the bore, right? Gosh, we hope so. Anyway, there's some play in here. Move it back and forth, get it centered to where the play goes from one side of that notch to the other. And I'm looking through a LCD on this camera, so I can't see it as clear as you guys can. But take that play as close to centered, averaged out, you know what I mean? From one side of the notch to the other. You got the front of it at the step. Now I'm going to use my other hand and take the rail off while I'm holding the base in place. Alright, we're back. Decided to make this guide bar longer so it'll have a little less play. And what I did is I blacked out the two little center drill spots that I did on the milling machine. And I'm going to set this guide bar up like you saw in the last video to the rear sight notch. I'm going to use a 3/16 punch, or transfer punch, in these two holes into the receiver, followed up by an automatic centering punch. These have a lot harder steel, that's what you use for the dimple. Then I'm going to drill and tap these two side holes. Then on the side hole of the mount here, you're going to use a 5/32, I believe, transfer punch. Take it off, follow it up again with the automatic centering punch, and drill and tap the three holes. The side hole is going to be done. There's a little bit more on that I'm going to need to show you. I'm going to do that on another video, another section of this video. Alright, here's the assembly on the rifle with the longer guide bar, and you can see there's still play, but quite a bit less. It's going to make it easier for you to get it in the center of that rear sight notch. Okay, we held the base in place tightly. It stays on there pretty tight itself. We took the rail off after we had that tool centered like we showed you into that rear sight notch, and those center spots that we made on the mill with a precision dial test indicator are easily within the center of those holes, within easily 5 thousandths. You can see this. I'm not going to get calipers out and check it, because after 30 years of being a machinist, I think I can guess they're that close. This is going to center you to the bore based on the rear sight. Hopefully you haven't taken your rear sight off. If you have, I think you can reinstall it. Again, we designed this to make it easy for the a home shop guy and home gun owner to do it himself. The next step on this is going to be a center punch. These are 3/16 holes, a 3/16 center punch to make your own dimples lightly, and then follow it up with a center punch. Don't put a lot of pressure on this transfer punch, it's not made for that. All you want to do is make a mark. Once you get the center punches in, you're ready to drill and tap 1032 holes. Again, the same pattern as the ATI mounts. Next step will be this side hole, anchor point number 3, and we'll show you that in the next section of video. Alright, what I did here is I centered it with the tool, the guide tool, only I moved it back about a 1/16 from this, so I know I'm working off of new holes. The two little dimples you see to the right are the ones that I just made using the centering tool, followed by a transfer punch, followed by the centering punch. These are the two holes in the rear that were made with the centering tool inside the mount base. Those are the holes I'm going to use to drill and tap and mount this scope mount. Okay, I have the two top 1032 holes tapped, drilled and tapped. I suggest you use a cobalt split point drill bit for this at about 500-600 RPM. I didn't want to show you doing this because it just takes too much time on the video, and there's plenty of other videos out there that show you how to drill and tap receivers and other things. Okay, we have the scope mount base installed with the two stainless steel 1032 button head screws that we're going to provide. You can see it's stepped back from the original holes we made, and these screws do not protrude into the chamber. You'll be able to feel that and see that. You're still getting a full, at least 3 full threads of engagement, and along with 262 Loctite, that's more than enough. Next, we're going to transfer punch and center punch the side left hole here. Alright, next, with the base mounted with the two screws on the top, kind of turn it to an angle here in your vice stand, or your rifle stand. If you don't have a rifle stand, you can make one out of some scrap wood. Just cut some V grooves in it. Anything just to hold it kind of steady and level. A drill press vise or something small like that will work. If you want to put it in your standard bench vise with padding, that would be great too. You want to get this surface kind of level. I'm going to drill this with a cordless drill using a cobalt split tip 1/8 inch drill bit first, followed by a .156, that's 5/32. Tap drill chart shows 159, this is 156, it's a little smaller. All that's going to do is give you a little bit better thread depth, and since you're using a cordless, it's probably going to come out to around 159 anyway. Okay, the side hole is drilled and tapped. Again, I went through it after punching it with the transfer punch and center punch. I drilled it first with an 1/8 inch hole using a cobalt split tip 1/8 inch drill bit, followed by 5/32. Then I tapped all the way through. Now we're going to take the mount off, and we're going to drill 3/16 through the mount only, not into the receiver, so there's clearance for the bolt. Okay, I drilled the 3/16 hole through the mount only, not into the receiver. You're going to take out the threads there. That's clearance for the thread on this 1032 by 1/2 inch long socket head cap screw. That's installed. The two main top screws are installed, all after cleaning the threads and using Loctite 262, snug down real tight. And you remember why we have a little step here, otherwise you won't have that, because Wanted to verify the centering process. Next is to install the rail into the base. Okay, we put the rail in the base. This is a tight fit, and that's the way we want it to be. That's the way you want it to be. Looking from the left side and making sure that both pieces are flush up here. All these little 440 holes will line up, and you'll be able to see them centered in each other. And the last step is to install 7 440 screws using the same Loctite. 2 on the right side, 5 on the left side. Alright, this installation is finished. We have all 7 of the little 440 screws installed that hold the rail into the base. 2 on this side. Turn this over, you're going to see that rear side hole does not protrude into the receiver. You're not going to see it with this video camera, I don't think, but the 2 top screws do not protrude either, so there's no need to grind screws down to length. Everything's installed with Loctite. Now once this is installed, you're not going to get that guide bar back in there, obviously. If you wanted to, you could cut it shorter yourself and stick it in there, but you can lay it on top of the rail and you can see that it's still, there's a distance across here, but it's, you can kind of verify you're lined up with the rear sight still. Nothing should have moved. It's a good solid mount. There's no protrusion. Clean as you go. Clean, like I said, I use carb cleaner. You can use alcohol, whatever you want to clean and blow out the receiver when you drill and tap. Get all the cutting oil. I didn't tell you, but you know, you need to use cutting oil. And if you don't have an air compressor to blow everything out with, use a can of that office spray they use for cleaning off keyboards. And you're going to see some minor paint touch-up that's going to need to be done on here, and that's one of the other nice things about this paint. We're going to show you the can here. This is Duplicolor DE1634 engine enamel. It's a ceramic based enamel. What I'm going to do with this mount now is wipe it down with alcohol and blow it off with air. Then I'm going to preheat it with a heat gun. You can use a hairdryer also. And I'm going to just touch up the little spots that got nicked up during this installation because I was in a hurry. You guys probably won't have that problem if you take your time. And it's going to look like brand new again. And the next video will be test results on this rifle. So it'll be a separate video. Hope you understood everything I did on here. I'm not that good at making videos, but I'm trying to get better. If you got any questions, shoot me an email from the website or give me a call. My name's Damon, TrueShotTechnologies.com. Alright, here's a quick video of I just masked this off. It took me about 3 minutes. And then I hit it, just the whole thing where it had little minor nicks from this installation job. Holding that can of paint about 8 inches away. And then hit the whole thing with a heat gun for about 2 minutes. It's going to get pretty good and hot. Don't touch the painted area until it cools. This paint is, the way I understand it, is designed to be heat activated. It's really tough. Like I said, I wasn't being careful. You could have scratched any, you could have even scratched the anodize getting in a hurry making this video. But it looks nice again. Let me take off the masking to show you. Alright guys, here we are, same rifle, same mount. We got the rifle in an ATI Monte Carlo style stock with a limb saver recoil pad, which I highly recommend. The same Max Shepherd bolt handle. You can see that little touch-up paint cleaned up all those little nicks during the installation. Really good. Everything looks fine on it. And we're going to throw a different scope on there, and then we're going to finish out this video. One thing I do want to make clear to you is that none of the bolts that we used to install this, the 3 main screws, the 2 in the front, And the one on the side, none of these protrude. They don't even come close to protruding inside the chamber. There's no screws to grind down. You still have plenty of thread engagement. The 262 Loctite will keep everything tight. And by the way, we do have a separate video on our channel of the ATI bolt handle. You have to grind it flush to this surface, and there's a separate video on that. Just look on our channel for that. Let me show you with a scope real quick. Alright, this is the same gun with a Bushnell 16 power by 50 millimeter scope. Objective lens. That lens actually measures about 52 millimeters. It clears the rear sight. Yes, the see-through sights are clear, no interference at all. And that wraps up this video. Hope we answered all your questions if we're installing and give you enough information on this. If not, give us a call or an email from the website. You'll see a lot of pictures of these on the website also. Thanks for watching the video, and feel free to leave comments. Have fun and shoot safe.